is our special guest episode number 6. I'm going to send it to J-Mar, let him introduce our guest.
Yeah, we got a good one. Been trying to get this in for a while now, and then we had our little break, and so it was the first on our list after our time off. But this is my Uncle Jeff, uncle, brother, whatever you want to call it. I've told different people that he was different things depending on what kind of mood I was in. I used to get asked a lot if is Jeff your brother, and then or is that I think one time I got asked, is that your dad? And I got to a point where I was like, if they said brother, I said, yeah, that's my brother. Or, if they said uncle, I'd let them go with that. But, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Lester, welcome.
Hey, guys. Good to be here. And it depends on if you were in trouble or not, J-Mar, whether I was your brother or
oh yeah,
your uncle or your dad.
Yeah. Usually it's people that would know of dad, but know you more. So then they would know I was related to you. So that's, or they would know dad more, but not really know you. Because anybody that know both of you, they would know, but it just depends on which side it fell. And I guess the age difference between you and dad, they were like, well, he's your brother then, right? And I was like, no. But, yeah, I just, at some point, I just quit. I was like, yeah, sure, I went with it. But, because, you are more like a brother anyway, so it's,
Oh, yeah.
But, I'm glad to have you on. I think this is going to be a good one. I think people are really going to enjoy it. So I'll let Cameron start us off.
I'll try not to hurt anybody's feelings,
Well, I mean,
hey,
it could make for good content if you do. So
point. Yeah, that's actually one of the things when we can start.
So we can start off with that, Jeff. Tell me how you feel about pronouns.
Well, I got to be careful with that one. Being a teacher, But there's he and she and it and all those things, you got all the things.
Yeah.
All the things, yeah. We'll try to stay on
the
topic.
Fire 1 minute in. Man.
I told Cameron before we had to take a break when we're doing it pretty regular. I said we need to as a joke, we need to start when people come on, the first question be like, welcome to the show. What do you identify as? What are your pronouns? Just to clarify. But I'd afraid some people would be like, take it serious, and then I would start laughing. I couldn't. I wouldn't. If they thought I was serious, I couldn't deal with that. So we never did try it. But I think most of the people we've had on probably would have got that it was a joke. But you never know.
You can't never tell anymore. That's true.
Yeah.
I got to, go clean out my litter box.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a wild one.
I have a 3-year-old that he turns 3 tomorrow actually, and he was walking around watching a Paw Patrol on TV. He was walking around, trying to lick stuff and all that, which I mean I knew, he just being little. But there was a thought that came in my mind. I was like, man, people actually take this serious enough to to go that far with it.
Yeah, I've heard some horrendous stories. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, I imagine.
Well, Cameron, he's old enough. He's old enough. He'll be turning 3. You should let him decide whether he wants to be a Paw Patrol character or something.
That's true.
I probably should.
Yeah, don't hold him back. Don't hold him back.
Yeah. Definitely, sometimes he gets mad enough he'll bite like a dog. To where we're still going through that.
Yeah,
it's tough raising kids right now. It really is. I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I mean it's tough. It's the way things are, and I'll go ahead and give a little shout out to them because they're going to be mad if I don't. Grayson, my boy Grayson's 7, and my little girl Paisley's 9, and
going on 19, ain't she?
Yeah, it's crazy. She's gonna hit double digits in November, and I mean it's insane. 10 years has flown by, man. It's crazy.
That's a good segue, I guess, to talk about, because I know we were talking before we started recording about what they got coming up sports wise. So that could be our first question, I guess, is How old were you when you actually started playing like organized, like basketball, like in Little League or something?
I played in fifth, sixth, and seventh. So I started in fifth, and played up through sevens, of course, and then went on to high school. But that was my first year was fifth grade. I shot around and played around, but I never did anything organized until fifth grade.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal back then. It kind of caught on later. I think you and Zach both played on the green team, red team, y'all team thing there, the inter school league that they had, but they didn't have that when I was in school there. So I started in fifth grade. I don't know if they had anything younger than that then, but that's when I started.
Yeah, and we were talking before we got on, just sports up now with the kids and stuff like that. Just some differences, like from when you played, even I know you're usually a little bit older, but just the way the league and stuff was set up, and the teams you played, what were the differences between, then and now?
We definitely didn't play as many games. We didn't do as much traveling. We would play the area teams, that Russell Prater, J.M. Bevins, all those had teams, and we would travel and play those teams. But probably one of the biggest differences is the age that kids start now compared to then, and the amount of games that's played, through AAU and travel basketball. I mean, it's insane. Just the amount of games that kids get in. My little girl Paisley played in this. We have a Southwest League here, and it's Wise. All the area schools in Wise, they kind of host the majority of it. And gosh, she played. I forgot how many games, 16 or 17 games. This, in about a 4-week span there, 5-week span, every weekend. And it's just crazy. And she's only in third grade, so it's a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
I don't even know. It's getting
Go ahead.
more.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, while you bring up travel ball and stuff, I know we talked with Mark and Neil. He was on. I get his opinion on it. What are some of the benefits you see with some of the kids right now playing travel ball, or disadvantages? What's your opinion on it?
For younger kids, if you're trying to get your name out there to get recruited, I don't have a problem with the older kids, going and playing on a team that, gets a lot of recognition. Some of these bigger teams. Like I said, if you're trying to get recruited, but I don't particularly like the younger age kids just going and joining an AAU team just for the sake of winning games. You don't. I think a lot of basketball is lost. Fundamental basketball, anyway, is lost in AAU, pure AAU. Their whole team they're all from Lebanon, Paisley's little team, and so the teams that we have in the Southwest League, we pick from Lebanon. So that's we have an a league team where we divide up the second and third grade boys at Lebanon only, and we'll try to get as many teams as possible. But if let's say we have 4 teams, we'll divide those. We'll take the best 2 or 3 players off of each of those teams, and it makes the Southwest team. So, but it's still all Lebanon kids. It's just the best that Lebanon has. Coaches' opinions, of course, the best that Lebanon has, and we travel and play. But it's all kids that are going to be playing together. If they stay at Lebanon High School, they're all going to be playing together. So some of that is I'm kind of on the fence about some of that. I think you get more from playing with the teams and the kids that you're going to be playing with on your team than you do, traveling and playing with just, one from here, one from there, one from here. I mean, just an opinion, to each their own. But I think you do lose a lot of fundamental basketball, a lot of skill work. You learn most of your basketball in practice, in my opinion. not in a game. So it's in the games where you put you put out there what you learn in practice. But yeah,
I think it is constant. It's like it's almost like an extension from the league play that you do. Let's just there be if they're working together. I never thought of it like that, but in that way, yeah, I think it would be beneficial.
You mentioned you didn't really start playing organized until the 5th grade. Did just for the viewers out there who may or may not know, did you grow up in a house that anybody was interested in basketball or anything, anybody else play or anything like that?
No, zero family tradition. With basketball. It's everything. I had to Google it. Back then, I don't even know if they. Google wasn't even invented back.
Yeah, Google. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long line. It's in the blood. Obviously, Bobby, had which is my brother for the people that don't know, but he had a huge part in that. And my dad played. He didn't play as far as organized, but I'll tell you something that I was told that they did. They turned a bathhouse, some type of mining, there was an old mines up in, I think it was across from Twin Valley, Old Garden High School, Twin Valley Middle School now, but I think up in that holler there somewhere, there was some type of old bathhouse or some type of warehouse or something. But anyway, they hung goals up, and I'm not sure what year this would have even been. I would assume probably 50s, 60s, I would assume. But anyway, they and the location could be wrong. I think best I can recall, but they hung goals up in that. And my dad and I don't know if you remember Otis Street, Jamar, or Otis and Furl, and there were several of them. And as the guy I worked with at Matt Construction told me about how they used to go up there and play all the time. And, I'd give anything, to be able to see something like that, because it's just,
that's one I've never actually heard. That's a new one for me. I didn't know that.
They used to tell me they played quite a bit. And, I don't even know if they even had lines. I just know they said they hung goals.
Yeah.
And played in that old.
Probably in the, what was it they used to hang up back in the day?
The peach baskets.
Peach basket, yeah.
That was the original.
Yeah. They probably had rims off of a tire or something. Probably
more than likely, yeah.
Yeah, something. Well, I mean, who's okay? So when you were playing in Little League, I guess who was coaching y'all then? Like some guys that coached some of those little middle school teams.
Charlie Van Dyke coached our Little League team. I can't, I can't remember who helped with that. But him, and then I think Mike Hill had already gotten involved some in it. He helped out some, but Charlie was the head coach then. Charlie Van Dyke.
Did you pick up on it pretty fast? Like the organized part of it? Was you?
I did pretty good. I was, a good athlete. So I probably relied on that too much at times. Just being a little faster, be able to jump a little higher. Sometimes you get in habits of not honing your skills quick enough because you rely on just, out jumping somebody or outrunning them. So sometimes you don't get those skills as quick or back then you didn't. I mean, now if you've got a good fundamental coach, you're going to get them no matter what. But, then it was a little bit different. I probably relied on that too much, probably throughout a lot of my career. Because, it's like, I don't mean to jump ahead, but it's like weightlifting, now compared to then. I mean, nobody pushed me to lift weights. Nobody encouraged me to lift weights. No, it wasn't a huge deal. But now, gosh, I mean, you've got to work and got to hit the weight room if you're going to keep up. I mean, you just, you can't keep up. Girls or boys, either one too. I mean, I tell both of mine, like, you have to work at it. If you're going to do it and do it right, But yeah, I would have gave anything if I would have been pushed a little more, toward the weightlifting side of it, strength training side of it. It would have really been beneficial to me because I was, about 180 pounds, 85 pounds.
You were a little on the skinnier side back in there. I remember seeing pictures. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah. So I think I was curious when you started playing organized. Were there any interest to play like any other sports? Or was it always just basketball? And
I played football I actually played football in. I think it started in second grade, maybe second and third, maybe second, third, and fourth. And it was a school thing. We had enough kids to where we had 4 different teams just from Garden Elementary School or whatever. And yet I played for the Steelers. So it was that's I've always been a Steelers fan ever since then. We had the Steelers, the Falcons, the Eagles, and the Redskins. That was the 4 teams to choose from. And I can't even remember. Honestly, I think I just liked the black and I don't know why I even chose the Steelers. Maybe a little encouragement from my dad because he liked them. He liked the Steelers a little bit too. But I did that when I was younger. And they tried to get me to play in high school, but my love for basketball just kind of always pushed me. Again, being as small as I was, just never did want to get an injury.
Well, here's a question that I don't think I've ever actually asked. Knowing what you know now, would you have went back and tried to focus a lot more on football and maybe be like a receiver and try to go college play receiver because you were like freakish athletic and being the long wingspan? Would that have been something you think you wish you would have maybe tried, or are you happy with?
I definitely would have. There would have been 2 options there, and honestly, if somebody gave me the choice, okay, you can go back and do one of these, I would have trouble picking which one I'd want to do. But I would definitely go back and play, and it would be receiver would be the one, would be what I would. Because they almost had me talked into it my senior year.
I would imagine they had to have tried because Cameron I don't know that Cameron realizes this, but we'll get into the nickname later and all that. But when you talk about freaky athletes around the area, like this dude was like scary athletic, like absolutely get up, and you're like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, about 6'4.5". Yeah.
So I mean, big frame. You just like you said, you're just skinny. So you would have been a heck of a target. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what they told me. They said, "Hey, we just want you to, when we get to the 20-yard line, just go to the corner of the end zone, and we're gonna throw it up, and you're gonna go up and get it." So yeah, I was very close to playing my senior year. That's probably the closest of any of the years throughout high school that they asked me to play. But that was definitely and in doing that, I would have gotten stronger. But that would be another thing. If I could go back and change anything about just basketball in general, I would definitely go back and hit the weights and maybe not put on a lot of weight, just put on some strength. Just get some strength. It would have been very, very beneficial if I could have went back and done that. But see, football would have helped me with that. So it kind of took care of both things.
Yeah. Ever baseball? I can't remember if you ever told me or not.
Never did. I did track in high school. Did the high jump.
I was say this is kind of skipping ahead, but just real quick, did you in high jump? Did you win district or anything and go to state in high jump or anything like that?
I went to state in high jump.
Okay.
My senior year. I went to region my junior year. I forgot what I placed there, maybe 4th or something. But then our senior year, we went to state. Me and Teddy Lane and Jeremy Keene. And of course, Jeremy won. Yeah, he won shot and discus both.
Does he still have the record? Didn't he have the state record for a while? Or
I think so, but I don't know for sure if he still has it or not. To be honest with you, I know he still has the record at. I'm pretty sure Twin Valley and Garden both. I'm pretty sure.
Was it in the disc? In the shot put?
Disc shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I remember. I think it was my sophomore year or junior year one. At the region state or region track meet that we went to. There was a kid from Virginia High at the time. He was there. He had his personal Olympic coach that apparently he
Oh,
was
wow.
trained to go to the Olympics. Yeah, and he broke the record in one of those that day. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was Jeremy's record or not. I don't know whose it was, but I remember they announced it and it was like some big deal.
I would
Yeah.
I don't
imagine.
know where
I would imagine the way things are now that they probably have been broken on a state
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, that's just me guessing.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. You've got some kids now that like, you know, he was just natural, a natural athlete too. Like he was
Yeah.
naturally just strong, fast. I mean, he was one that he could have been dangerous too. You know, if had been encouraged, probably a little more, you know, a little more
Yeah.
push behind him. And then Teddy Lane was in the 100. He went under. He was running in 10.
Wow.
10. I think his fastest may have been like 10.7, something like that. It was one of the best in the state that year.
Yeah.
And he gets up there and false starts. And
Man.
yeah, was false started and you know could have easily finished, you know, first, second, or third. I mean, you know, one of those because, like I said, he had one of the better times in the state at one time. So man, that was a tough blow for him. He because we did this whole trip. Greg Rife, you know, a great person, great friend of mine. Don't keep up with him and talk to him as much as I should, but it's he took us up to Roger's cabin up there at New River, and we actually took us out on a boat. Can you imagine doing something like this nowadays with kids on a school trip? You know,
Yeah.
but took us out fishing up there on the New River on the way up to the state, and took us out fishing. We had a good time. But anyway, you know, just all that preparation and everything that he went through. And see, that's only a event he qualified in, Teddy. So he ends up scratching and getting DQ'd or whatever. So
that's
it was tough. Yeah, and I didn't place in the state. I forgot I think it may be like 6'10" or something is what won it that year. And I think I jumped up there, maybe 6'3", 6'5", I think was my highest. Was my highest, but up there I just you know it's a different world. That was when you know single A the groups were not split. You know it was just a lot different. Which now Telford, I don't know if y'all know what Calvin Telford still holds the state record.
Is it still the
7.2? I think is what it is.
That's probably one of those that I'm probably not going to get. I wouldn't think, but
I would be shocked. You know, he's probably, and again, I hate to jump ahead or talk about off-topic thing here, but he's probably, in my lifetime, probably as far as just seeing a high school athlete play, he's the best athlete I've ever seen. You know, and that's, you know, a lot of people are probably going to say, you know, no to this, or disagree with this, but if I had to pick the best athlete between him and Mac McClung, I would pick Telford. It's just
I've heard. I mean,
you know,
heard similar things. So
he was just he was insane. It was crazy. You know, the things he could do. He's just he was, and probably his best sport, from what I can understand, was probably baseball. And, you know, he went to ETSU and played basketball, of course, and but yeah, he was a super athlete. Fun to watch. Your dad actually took me to watch him play.
Well, I was going to ask is how is he's older than you, right? How much older is he than?
I was probably, I guess maybe 6th or 7th, no older than 8th grade when we went and watched him. I think it was at Lebanon actually, is where we seen him play at. But he did a 360 in a game, and then you know that wasn't a normal thing that you seen because you know you didn't have all the social media nowadays that you have nowadays. But I mean, did did a 360 in a game. I forgot who they were playing, but well, I guess it was probably Lebanon and Castlewood. I'm assuming. I'm pretty sure it was at Lebanon, but so yeah, he did a 360 in a game, and I remember thinking, "Holy God, that's insane!" Because I'd never seen anything like that before. Other than on TV, of course, but and you didn't see it a whole lot on TV in a game
Not
on
in a
TV.
game,
then.
yeah.
It wasn't normal. I mean, people could do it, but it wasn't normal.
Well, seeing him, I guess, did that have any kind of like any kind of effect, like seeing stuff like that as you were in that age moving forward? Did that make you kind of, hey, I want to do this? Like, did that have any kind of effect moving forward? Or
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, I actually in a dunk contest one time at Powell Valley, tried to do a couple of his dunks that he did in the NCAA dunk contest that he was in. He bounced it between his legs at the foul line and bounced it, and then turned and went and caught it and dunked it. And I did that at Powell Valley in a dunk contest that I think it was like I don't know if it was Powell Valley National Bank tournament or something. It was a big tournament they had over there. But anyway, it was that and I'd always trying to do stuff that I've seen, some of the other things I've seen him do. But that kind of thing is, of course, I'm a big Jordan fan. Always have been and always will be. The whole Jordan and LeBron debate to me is not even a debate. It's ridiculous. So
I think not to get off topic again, but have you seen the video of who got up first, and they have a side by side between LeBron getting hit in the head and Trump getting shot, and who gets up first? And let's just say Trump got to his feet before LeBron hit.
I'm sure he did.
And again, throwing it back, I was at that dunk contest. I don't remember every detail of it because I was young, but I remember being there. I think we were sitting up on the top bleachers. I'm pretty sure it seems like. But I do know that it's if you want to get Dad riled up, ask him about how you got robbed over there winning that dunk contest because a little bit of home cooking from the judges, I believe is what he says.
Yeah, Boo Sensabaugh beat me, and he jumped over a kid, and when he jumped over him, obviously you should straddle the person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he raised one leg up, so it kind of went up, and went over him. So everybody was a lot of the fans were booing, and like it was, we had a pretty good crowd.
I've heard this story a bunch of times, and it's hard to get Dad going, but that's one of the ones. That's one of the ones that every now and again I like to bring it up just to hear him really get talking about it. But
we'll talk about your dad. Like I've only seen him mad, very very few times. In my 49 years of life, and a couple of, one of them I can't talk at all about. I probably have told you before, but I would never going to talk about it on here. But I was literally in shock that time. But I've seen him at a couple of basketball tournaments, independent tournaments.
Yeah, I've heard a few stories, but they're far and few between. I think.
But I'll say this: he is one of the, or probably he's the best, just the best person that I've ever met or ever known. I've never met a person that is as good a person as Bobby. I mean, they're hands down, not even close. And people can say I'm biased, but enough people know him, or if you know him, I'm not being biased. I mean, just because it's my brother, but I mean, he is as good as they come, man. It's I don't know what happened to me and you, Jay Moore, but we missed the boat somewhere.
People, I mean, and not only did I miss it, but then Katie didn't, so it's like it makes it even worse. You know what I mean? Like it's not. If I'd have been an only child, they'd have been like, well, that's odd. But then you got her. It's like, oh well, she's that's Bobby's girl.
Yeah, she definitely got the Bob gene there, no doubt.
Yeah. I don't remember what we were talking about, but Cam, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think I was going to ask, and I think you kind of answered it a little bit already, but when you was younger, I know a lot of us had it could have been local. Well, I think some of yours was local. Just athletes you looked up to. But even on a bigger scale, even you said Jordan. I guess it's probably one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Local or in the league or anything like that. Just athletes you looked up to.
Yeah, well, Talford, of course. I always liked to watch him, liked the way he played, and that some of the guys that even played on some of the Garden teams, like the Deskins boys, Brad and Jody Deskins. I always enjoyed watching them play, and all those older guys were they were good to me and good to. It wasn't one of those type of things where well, you're just an eighth grader, we're not going to talk to you, not going to fool with you. I mean, they, it was it was easy to look up to them or to kind of watch them and learn from them, but simply because they allowed you to do it or they wanted you to do it. They sometimes that don't always happen, but other than Talford, and of course, like I said, Jordan, of course, and then Bobby always is going to be right there at the top of the list, of course, because I mean that's my dad had a lot of health problems and couldn't do nowhere near as much with me, but we shot some together, and I have great memories of that, and he always, of course, encouraged me. But Bob was the one that, and Ricky Blankenship, Jeff Blankenship, all those guys that I played with a lot. Some during school and then definitely after adult school. We played in a lot of independent tournaments, and those guys I'd have to say were definitely at the top of the list. Along with Bobby, of course, but they were all just great people. Good basketball players and great people. So that'd probably be Bobby's probably number one, and then if it's talking about somebody else, be Talford, I guess. I always enjoyed watching him play.
This is a little side note, just throw out there in case we forget to come back to it, when we can talk about this after we get done. But we could do a whole episode and get you on and talk about the Blankenlesters, and I think it's something we probably should do at some point. But I think people would really enjoy hearing that side of the independent tournament stuff and all that. Be a lot of funny stories. Some you could tell, some you couldn't. But at that time, say when 7th, 8th grade, and you talk about the Deskins brothers and stuff, was Garden pretty successful? Have some good teams back then? Were they?
They had some good. They had some good teams. The '86 football team that was runner up in the state. Roby Hill was on that team, and Roby's about 6'6", 6'7", a big dude. And a good basketball player and a good football player both, but probably around 90, the Deskins, Brad and Jody both played on that I think it was right around 90, 91, somewhere in that area right there. But Mark Belcher, he was about 6'4". They had a good group. They had a lot of good athletes, and I want to say they got beat in the region. I don't know if it was regional championship though, because they would have went to state. But I think some in the semifinals, I think they got beat by Burton on the last second shot.
Yeah.
Burton. And I think a guy, Reese Gravely, played on that team maybe that year, and he was a load too, man. He was a good ball player. I think he was probably 6'6", 6'7", could jump, strong. I mean, I'm pretty sure he played on that team. And that's one of the they talk about Roger Rife, missing out on an opportunity to go to state several different years. Well, that was one of them. I know, because I'm pretty sure that was the last second shot they got beat on. I can't remember exactly, but they had some good teams.
In last second shots, man. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but it's been kind of that was a thorn in Roger's side.
It was
as the history of Garden and him. It just seems like it was always never just a bounce or two away from, but we'll definitely got to get you to tell that story here in a little bit. But Cameron, you got anything right away, or let me go ahead?
I'll let you ahead.
I was just going to jump into JV, and this is another question I don't know the answer to. Maybe we've talked about it and I just forgot, but I don't think I've ever heard you talk about JV. Who coached you in JV?
Danny Raznick coached the JV.
Hey, you know that.
I see that would be in my 8th grade year, and then Curtis Shortridge helped some there. I think my 9th grade year. But I went up, started out on JV my 10th grade year because I wasn't satisfied with playing time as a sophomore, and I wasn't really upset about it, but I just wanted to play. So I wanted to move back down, and so they taught me into, and I think I might have moved down and played in a game or maybe 2 JV games or something. But anyway, ended up going back up. But so I probably glad for doing it, and probably glad for going down, because I think it might have maybe opened some eyes or something, and got me. And again, not that I was mad about it, but I wanted to be on the floor. I didn't care if it was JV or if it was varsity. I wanted to be on the floor. So that was, and of course Roger coached. But I don't, if you want me to jump ahead to varsity to talk about.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go next. Was the first thing I was going to get at on varsity, just to get it kind of before we talked about any specific games or like seasons or anything like that, was basketball in Buchanan County. Roger's kind of like a lot of folklore, and I guess you could call it. And everybody knows who he is. I've heard countless stories about him. And say what you will about him, but he's just one of those guys where it's like, he just Roger Rapp. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like so you can talk about, not really, I guess, as a coach, but more or less, you have any stories you want to tell or anything like that? And how was it playing for Coach Raff?
I liked him. I loved him. And still love him to this day. He's you got a lot of people, like you said, that don't like him, but it's mostly for the political side of his life, not really for the basketball part of it. Anytime you deal with politics, I mean, you're gonna make people mad, and you're gonna have a lot of people that don't like you. But that would, from the people that I've heard that said, "Oh man, I can't stand Roger Raff," it's because of politics. Could be because of he didn't play their kid enough. That's that's a classic too.
No, people wouldn't do that.
That's a classic too, but more or less politics, political side of it. But people that tell stories about him always talk about it the way that he talked, and he was just slow and methodical talking. But I think one thing I remember is him dealing with referees, and because everybody knew him. And you're talking about old school referees, a really, really young, Johnny Altizer, then was super young, and Bud Gallimore, and there was just a lot of old referees there that that were well known because they did all the big games, and compared to now, it's like the referee then was I could think of the worst situation then, and it doesn't even compare to now. So, and I'm going to leave that right there just in case I ever get back into coaching a lot. I will make too many people mad. Not that people can't see it.
It's not that they're. Here, I'll help you out. It's not that they're terrible. You just have high standards.
Maybe that's what it is. They set the bar back then.
Yeah.
But he would call time out, and he would go about 3 steps out onto the court, and he always had this towel, and he flipped that towel over his shoulder, and sometimes he would just sit there and stare at him like he wouldn't even say anything. He'd just stand there with that towel over his shoulder looking, and I was like, and he'd of course get us over to the huddle, and I kind of be standing and watching, see what was going to happen, and he would just stand there. And there's several times he would just kind of shake his head and just walk back over to the huddle. I mean, he'd never say a word to the referees. And then there was times that he would be like, you got to call this, well, I'll call that, or he'd get one of them over there, and talk to them. And I mean, he gave them down the road at times, and most of them out of respect because he had been around for so long and had coached many different teams, and and he gave them respect too, So, but I don't. Can't remember a lot of technicals being called on him, but I can remember some heated debates that he would have with them there. But one he had some help in some practices, not really help, but I don't know if you ever heard of Dean Whited.
Oh yeah.
He came to a lot of our practices, and I can't even describe him and how funny. It makes me smile just thinking about him. I think he's passed away now, but gosh,
I have a really funny. He come to our practices, my ninth grade.
Oh yeah, probably.
He came over there at one year when Coach Roger's son Greg, obviously but for those who don't, Coach Rife was there. And I won't tell it on here, but I laughed so hard I cried.
Yeah, most of his stories you can't tell.
It's very funny, very fun times. And usually it was just sitting in the Coach Ralph's office before practice. A few of us will be in there getting taped or something, and he'd just be sitting there. He'd just be holding court, it was like just. You just sit and listen. Let him go. It was
crazy off the wall stuff. He is
when you played for Coach Rife, did y'all before practice have did he line sit down and talk about whatever before practice ever started? And did it last 30 minutes like it did when I played?
Most days, yes. We would either do it at the beginning of practice or we would be, into doing, several drills, and then we would, if we were going to work on something on offense or defense or whatever it was he wanted to talk to us about, he would, set us down and then we would go through it. But he usually did it at the beginning, typically, and yes, they were pretty lengthy at times. But I looking back now, I really enjoyed playing for him. I can imagine him in his younger years being pretty fiery and being even more fun to play for, as far as my personal preference of the people that I like to play for. But I can imagine, I think kind of caught the tail end of his career there, or starting toward the tail end of his career. But I can't imagine a young Roger Rife, man. That'd be pretty fun to see, I'm sure.
I'll ask this, and then I'll let Cameron. I'll just take it back to Cameron. But just while we're still on Roger, you may have told me this. It may have been your team, or it may not. I'm not sure. Maybe I've heard it from you, and it wasn't your team. But the story about him telling him to run, and he was going to step into his office or something, and if he come back and they weren't running, they'd regret it. And he left and went home and called back and told the janitors to go in there and tell them boys they were done. They could go into the house. Is that true?
That was that happened with us.
That was you all.
He had he told us that to start running, and this also happened with another coach, Piney Mullins.
Okay.
That coached girls basketball there at Gordon. Did the same thing, told them that to start running, and she didn't want them to stop until she told them to, and walked out of the gym and went home. And I don't even know I don't even actually know what happened to why they stopped, but he walked out of the gym and left us in there running, and somebody finally came in and told us to stop, and I don't even remember who came in there, and he said, well, I guess I can't even remember if we were going to break it down or what, but we said, well, where's he at? And it's like, well, he ain't here no more. He's already gone home. So I'm like, well, okay, guys, I guess we're done.
That's
But we thought he was just sitting in there in his office,
yeah.
hanging out. But yeah, that was
that's one of my favorite stories. Because again, you couldn't do that now. Like,
oh no,
you get in a lot of trouble probably.
No.
So that's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, 'cause I was curious, 'cause I know when we had Mark and Neil on, they talked a lot about their respective school, like the atmosphere inside, while they were playing in the court. So I just wanted you to kind of touch on just the atmosphere back then, because it was already done before.
Yeah.
I got to go and watch some ball games and stuff.
Every one of our home games is like a regional championship game now. Like, I mean, it literally we packed the stands and it was loud. I mean, every game was loud, and it was in both sides. I mean, the opposing team too. But yeah, it's just not even close to the same now. When Jamar played there, a couple of the bigger games that they played in had that same type of atmosphere. But like my senior year, the Twin Springs game at Twin Springs was like you couldn't even hear the person in front of you in warm-ups. Like if they turned around and spoke to you, said something to you, I mean, you could even hear them. Like it was crazy. Of course, because we took a huge crowd, and of course it was at Twin Springs, so they had a huge crowd. Like it was that gym was packed, and you couldn't hear nothing. We both kind of came out at the same time for warm-ups, so like the whole place just went nuts. Yeah, it doesn't even compare. I wish kids could feel some of that same thing that we used to, because I really think it probably would sway them, to maybe work a little harder, or put a little more effort in. Some of them, and then some of them it still wouldn't matter. I mean, if they don't get their instant gratification or instant satisfaction of self, they don't care. They don't care. But yeah, it was crazy. I told I was actually telling my kids that one time. I don't even know what we were talking about exactly, but I'm like, yeah, it's nothing is the same, like it was then. But hopefully, maybe things can get back to that. Hopefully, or at least it won't get worse.
Yeah.
Some schools still, bring a crowd. It's still still a lot of fun, but it's still just nothing compares. Probably around when Jamar played, it's probably started to decline. After him, and then Hunter and them had some good. They had some good crowds, good rivalries. That's probably the last of for our area anyway. Probably last of some of the best crowds, and of course the Mac McClung era at Gate City. I mean, those that he packed the gyms, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So that does compare, but
I think
on average, it doesn't.
Yeah, I got to see like Hunter and them play. I don't know if I got to see you play in person more.
You probably wouldn't even more than yet.
Yeah, maybe not. But yeah, I got to enjoy a little bit of that background. I just wanted to kind of touch on, I guess, more of the schools and stuff. What are some of your favorite places to go to and play?
To go to and play, man, I could tell you right off where I didn't like to go play. One of them is, and still to this day, would be Twin Springs for sure. But no, my worst place that I absolutely hated to go play was Pocahontas. Hated to play there. I absolutely hated to play there. But places I like to play.
Dad hated going to watch you play there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Get rocks to at your car on the way out there.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was a terrible drive, first of all, but yeah, they weren't very hospitable. Let's put it that way. I'll leave it at that. don't want to make any old rivalries mad there. They might run into them one day, but it was a terrible place to play. Yeah. Very tough place to play. And they always had a decent team. It's almost like they never could get over the hump type of teams that they could beat anybody, and then anybody beat them. But they had some pretty good teams. And it was always a battle. I mean, it seems like everybody was their rival almost. I mean, it's just the way it was. Now, I enjoyed playing probably. Gosh, you've got me stumped on this one, Cam. I'll tell you. I probably I enjoyed playing at Grundy, the old Grundy High School. I liked that gym for some reason. So I probably would have to pick, I guess, Grundy as far as just a gym that I like to play in, and seemed like I liked the floor, jumping on the floor, that was probably Grundy, I guess, out of the places.
So it's always very good and hot in that gym.
It is.
That's why I like playing. Yeah. Yep. I hated playing at Riverview because I always felt like I was cold even when I warmed up. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, if I had to pick between that Riverview and old Grundy High School, I'd pick the old Grundy High School any time.
For sure.
Yeah. No, not even close. I didn't mind. Klitschko was a pretty cool place to play. I didn't mind playing there. Had some good games there.
This is kind of a two-part question. You brought up Pocahontas. I was going to get into the district and what it was like there your junior and senior year, and especially your senior year, because that was probably y'all's best year when you played. But both years kind of. But what was the district like then? Who were some of the better teams and players, and maybe even rivalry? Who's your biggest rivalry? And the second question was I don't think they were, but was Pocahontas still in the district then, or had they already left the Black Diamond?
No, they were the Black Diamond. My senior year, I'm not sure how long after that they were in it, but my senior year they were in the Black Diamond. Yeah, probably my junior year, Hayside would have been their biggest rivalry as far as competition wise. They had Jamie Hackney and Chris Wood. There was several. They had a good team. Carlos Goley and I think Tito Locke played on that team. They were more known for Tito was more known for football than basketball, but he was still a good player, a good athlete. But they were tops in the district that year. I'm pretty sure they won the district that year. And my senior year, Hurley was their biggest rivalry. They finished second. They went to the region with us. They were the number 2 team in the region or whatever, but or in district, went to the region with us. They had John Potter and Tomboy Justice, and there were several. They had a good. They were very similar to us in the way that they played, and just kind of hard nosed. Not real flashy. They just got the job. Potter was a left-handed post player, and he was about 6'2", probably. Couldn't jump, 5 inches off the floor. But I tell you, he's probably the hardest person because he was left-handed, and he was a lot stronger than I was. So I had a lot more trouble stopping him probably than anybody that I played against my senior year by far. He was just he's very smart, and his timing on things, when you jumped, he could give you just enough of a nudge because he was so strong. And there's no way I don't know. I mean, I may have blocked a couple of his shots, but no, he was not one that I could just block it whenever I wanted to, type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a good player. They finished. They actually beat us once my senior year. Somebody was injured, I think, but anyway, they beat us, and then we went in the district tournament. We beat them. Actually scored the game-winning shot in that game. and and it would be special to anybody. You hit a game-winning shot, at the buzzer to win a game, but it was in overtime. But it was the only game high school game that my mom ever came to. So, it's pretty cool deal. Just having her there. Period. Win or lose was great. She just wasn't something that they, she just didn't go to a lot of games. It was the way it was, and it never bothered me, never hurt my feelings. I understood, that's how things are, or were then for her. But anyway, the one game that she came to, was a good one. I mean, it came down to the last second shot, and I had missed a shot earlier, in the game, actually, that they beat us, that could have potentially tied the game. And I missed a shot. So that was kind of a little bit of redemption for that, for missing that one, and basically cost us the game. I mean, or at least a chance to go in overtime, possibly win. But anyway, that was pretty cool moment. Probably as far as one of the happier moments, just simply because, like I said, the game-winning shot was great, but the fact that she was there, that's the only game she'd seen me play, was pretty cool. So that was so it's a two-part question. I've talked about that one so long, I forgot the other part of the question.
No, I think you covered it. The
Okay.
Pocahontas thing, and then you talked about the rivalries. You kind of you nailed it. Well, I'm gonna back up a little bit, I guess, because I knew I was going to ask. I kind of just forgot about it. But your nickname, and we posted a picture of a frog when we tried to have you on before, and we never could get it worked out. But that was obviously the reason there. I said only the real ones will know who I'm talking about. I obviously know why they call you Frog, because you jump really good. But when did that come about? What grade were you in when you got that?
That was probably toward the end of my 8th grade year, probably. Roger's the one that
Roger gave it to you.
Yeah, and then Steve, he gave him the nickname Tadpole. That's my cousin, of course, and he could jump really well too, and so he called me Frog and called Steve Tadpole. So that it just stuck. He kept and there's a lot of people still to this day. If I've seen them, people that I haven't seen them, forever, I guarantee you that they see me, they say, "Hey, Frog," that's just. Definitely would.
I was going to mention, I've been out with you before, either when I was in, just ride around with you or whatever when I was in school, and or after I graduated, be out with you, and people come up, and I've actually heard people come up, that's what they would say, is that address you by Frog, and I was like, for a long time, I think I might have had to ask Dad one time, like, why do they call Uncle Jeff Frog? And like he had to explain it to me when I was little, but I always was very jealous, obviously, of the nickname, and because I couldn't jump, but I finally got into the Frog family. My father-in-law called me Bullfrog, which I thought was very appropriate, because little did he know, he was talking about the song, but bullfrogs are kind of fat and they just sit there. So that's very appropriate that I was Bullfrog. But I finally got into the Frog nickname family. So I was pretty happy about it. I mean, he didn't really know how much of an insult it actually was, but I was tickled to death. But I go back to your junior year. You said Hayside won the district. Y'all finished second that year?
See, Honaker, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think finished second. I think we finished third that year.
Okay. So going into your senior year, though, there was probably some hype. Did y'all have any idea that you knew you kind of were going to be really good?
Before the season even started, and I had made and this is that any young people watching this podcast ain't gonna have any idea what I'm talking about, but This was Robin Rigsby was a she taught some type of computer classes, and I don't know, she may have taught some typing classes, economics classes or something, but I was in her class and she had a computer. She let us use it for whatever we wanted if we had spare time. So I went over there, and the printer was the paper that you actually had to tear the edges off of. That's how old.
Oh,
that's how ancient this thing is.
I remember that. Yeah.
So
I bet Cameron don't remember that.
No, I bet he doesn't.
I remember, but
it's the
I bet
stacks
Cameron
of.
doesn't.
But I did have. Yeah.
It's the stacks of paper, Cameron.
I don't remember it.
The paper came in a box that it was like it literally. You could just leave the box sitting there and take the first sheet of paper, put it in the printer, and it just pulled it through. You had to actually tear the paper after it came through.
I do kind of remember.
Yeah,
that. We didn't have those.
Yeah. Oh no. If you do, you could probably.
Well, we did have Robin Rigsby as a teacher.
Yeah,
I've heard like kid teacher.
She was one of a kind.
So,
yeah.
Is that the paper?
Yeah,
is that the paper also that had the little rivets on the side? You had to tear.
Yes, you had to tear those things off the side.
Yes. Yeah.
Had little holes all the way down through there. You had to tear both sides.
Yeah.
Well, I went in there.
It was very annoying.
Oh yes. So I made this little thing on there that said, Garden Dragons state bound 92, 93, or maybe Garden Dragons basketball state bound. I have it somewhere. Anyway, state bound 92, 93, and I hung that in my locker on like the third or fourth day of school. And one of the hardest things I had to do as a senior was to take that thing down out of my locker, because I left it up the rest of the year, even after the season was over. But
and Cameron's going to find out here in a little bit why that was so hard. I don't think he knows the story about this, but I can't wait to get into that. But you go ahead. That senior year, you said there was, y'all knew y'all were going to be.
Yeah, we anticipated being the best in the district, at the least, making it to region, possibly winning the region, and getting that finally getting that state playoff berth, like that a lot of Garden teams had missed out on. I think I might be wrong, but like maybe 58, 59 or something, I think was the last state championship. I think at Garden, or the only.
I know they went back. They went back to back in the 50s. I think.
Yeah, I think that was it.
49, 50, 51, 52, something like that. I think, but.
So it was a big deal, and we thought we had let's see, probably, 7 or 8 seniors, I'd say. Just guessing. I'd have to count them up, but it was at least. I'm pretty sure it was about 7, at least 7 seniors.
Yeah.
And then of course Steve was a sophomore then. He played on that team, and Jeremy Davis was a sophomore with Steve. He played up on that team with us. But we had high expectations going in. And
well, that kind of, I hate to keep skipping over you, Cam. But I say it's kind of, but it's my last one. I'll let you take it. But name some of those who was on that team with you. You don't have to name everybody, but just maybe starters, or you can name everybody if you want. But
me and Kevin Shortridge were the the 2 leading scorers on the team. Kevin being the probably as far as just averages, outscored me, but he also outshot me by a lot too. So it is what it is. Most people that know. Most people that know.
I was gonna say that's another one of those get Bob going.
Oh yeah,
conversations if you want.
it gets a lot of people going, I would say. But anyway, I think the world of Kevin. He's a good guy. He likes to shoot though, that's for sure. But anyway, Sean Hale was God rest his soul. He has passed away, but he was on that team. Good athlete. It's Mike Hill's boy. Mike always was involved in the Little League. Great guy. And Sean was a good guy. Chris Wilson, another one that has passed away off that team. And then Clinton Boyd was senior. Jared Deskins was brother to Jody and Brad, and the whole crew of Deskins boys, and well, girls too. Sorry, but he was on that team and started most games. Gosh, there was a Bud, Donald Franklin, David Goodwin. We had a lot of seniors, and then of course, like I said, Steve and Jeremy were underclassmen that was on there, but I'm sure I left a couple people out, but we had to.
It was a long time ago.
Oh yeah, long time ago.
Go ahead, Kim. I'm gonna shut up for a minute. Let you get back in here.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I guess. I know we're gonna get to the the ending of that the senior season, but just moments throughout the season that you remember, games, or could be a funny story or anything.
Oh, well, probably the beginning of the season, that dunk contest. That's always something that kind of sticks out in my mind. That was a lot of fun, but some of the funnier moments definitely would have been in practice, doing certain things in practice that Roger, gosh, he was something else, and again, Greg was a lot quieter, then, because he was just an assistant coach. He just kind of laid back, and me and him always had a good relationship, though, like right from the get go. Me and him always just got along really good, and I got to work with him later on and teach with him later on. But Roger swallowed some tobacco juice one time to beat his all. He was at basketball camp, and he something happened, and of course it's just laid back, at camp. It wasn't a whole lot of coaching going on or something other, but I think somebody may have shot on the wrong goal or something. And you're talking about, I would say it was probably going into my senior year. So it was that summer. So you're talking about, you're not talking about little kids that go shoot on the wrong goal. And whoever it was took off and shot on the wrong goal and made it. And so all of a sudden we hear Roger coughing, and carrying on, and I'm like, and he's like, is he okay? And looked over there, and he was like, nice shade of green, because even though he had chewed his whole life, and it's still he literally swallowed the whole, almost the whole chew of tobacco and got choked to death. But that was one of the funnier moments probably. And camp was a lot of fun. We went to Emory Henry, and Bob Johnson was there then, and he was a Bobby Knight like presence, and I'm a big Bobby Knight fan. Loved Bobby Knight. A lot of people hated him, but I have respect for people that do things the way that they want to do them, and they don't cave into anybody or cower to anybody. That's just but anyway, Bob Johnson was kind of like that. He had that kind of presence about him that if you didn't know him, you were scared to death of him. So we had to be careful about getting out and running around over at camp and stuff. And we went out and caught a duck one time at the pond over there. Emory Henry has this little pond. I guess it's still there, but there were some ducks that always ran around there. So we had this big idea that we were going to go catch a duck and take it up to Haysai's room, to where we had been up there, and it was Carlos Gully was in there, and Tito Mock, and there was several people in there, but for whatever reason they were scared to death of this duck. So we catch one and we take it up there, and I had it. My arm had a coat or a t-shirt or something over it, so it'd be quiet, and I jerked that off there, and it was quack, 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 squawking at him, and like we had bunk beds. There were bunk beds in the room, and one of them, I can't remember if it's Carl's might have been goalie, but anyway, one of them jumped up on that bunk bed and like pushed himself all the way back in the corner. I mean, they were terrified of this duck. And we didn't have no idea. Of course, we was all cracking up. And then somebody yells down the hallway and says, "Here comes Coach Johnson," and so we go into panic mode because, it's hard to tell. He would have made us. He had made people run at camp from. He would tell the coach, "So hey, they're coming and running." We went in there one morning for an early game. I think we played some of our games was 8:00, and we went in there one morning and some guys had just got finished running. Well, I thought it was, maybe some college kids that had a workout or something, and it was some kids from another high school that had got caught doing something the night before. And he said, "I want you." He wanted them in there that morning, and the coach, agreed to it. I'm sure if he didn't agree to it, they probably would have sent him to the house, but. So we went in panic mode, and so I took it, duck, and threw it out the window. And then I thought, hey, it's going to fly, it's going to fly down, whatever, go back to the pond. I mean, and it just goes and just hits the ground, and it's just sitting there, and it didn't move. It didn't move. I thought for sure we killed it. And but anyway, we shut the window back and just kind of walked down the hall, and he did come up through there. I don't know. I don't know if he was just walking around checking, but we said, "Hey, Coach, how you doing?" And went on by him and went out there to check on the duck, and it was still sitting there, but it finally got up and ran off. So nobody called PETA on me or anything about killing that duck back then. But that was their reaction to the duck was probably one of the funniest things. Other than us trying to catch it, that was pretty comical too. But we were determined, and it turned out to be good. So I later on coaching went to I got to go to Bob Johnson's house, and he had a cookout for the coaches there, and I was coaching at Garden then. This was some years later, and got to know him a lot better, and he was a real good guy, but I mean, he was intimidating though. He was one of those that, like I said, had that presence about him, but. Camps probably were definitely some of the better memories of basketball for me anyway. Emory is mostly where everything took place at too.
Did you ever tell him the story of the duck?
Bob, no. Yeah. No, I was still scared to death of him even as as a coach. Yeah. And me being way bigger than he was, and I still was like, I let that go.
Yeah.
Never did tell him that one. But he did find out somehow, but he couldn't prove it, of course. But we did get a little talking to the next morning at our first game. He had said something about, I just need to make an announcement, something, and the ducks at the pond are off limits to players. You wouldn't think I'd have to tell a bunch of high school grown men that they're in high school not to mess with the ducks at a pond, and we're like, oh crap. But like I said, he didn't punish us or anything. I guess he didn't know exactly who to punish, but
yeah.
You almost gotta appreciate it.
That's it. Oh yeah.
I don't know what you.
I mean,
yeah.
There's worse things, obviously.
That
you can do at camp.
Yeah,
as Garden, Twin Valley, whatever you want to call it, don't have a real good history at Emory camp. So y'all catching a duck is the least of anybody's worried. I think
that's definitely one of the better things that we did. So
yeah, for sure. So I guess we'll go ahead and get to it because I don't want to keep you all night. But we may actually end up having to have you back on for a part 2, depending on how late you can stay on. But just in case, let's go ahead and we'll get into it. I know it's it's hard for you to talk about, but okay. So y'all make it, win district, make it to region. So y'all are This was in the semifinals then, I guess, when this happened.
Yeah, we were, us and Twin Springs were definitely the best two teams, in the region.
So this is a Twin Springs team that went on to win state. This season.
They had
so
they won at least one other game on a last second shot in state. Maybe two of the games. I can't remember, but we were, it was, everybody kind of knew that it was going to come down, to us after probably about midway through the season, probably. But they had a guy, Landon Bays, real good guy. He was a super athlete, could jump real well. He's probably about 6'2", something like that, 6'3". But Brian Powers became a really good friend of mine. When I went to college, we hung out a lot and talked a lot, and I worked at Twin Springs for a little while actually, and got to back in contact with him, and just always been good friends. He was on that team, and Eric Addington, I think it's Chris Addington. Sorry, not Eric Addington. Chris Addington was on there. He was a good 3-point shooter. They had a good, well-rounded team, just like we did. We had a good group of starters. Plus, we had a pretty deep bench. As far as maybe not necessarily, somebody that's going to come off the bench and score 20 points, but we had people that could come off the bench and play minutes, and we wouldn't drop off. So like, and if when you're talking about winning, win a lot of games, you just have to have that, unless you have like a Mac McClung who can go off at any time and score 45 points, 50 points. We didn't have that, so we had to have the people that could step in and play. But and Twin Springs had the same thing. They had good players coming off the bench, good role players. We're very similar in styles as far as or as far as personnel anyway. And of course, we thought that we were going to win, of course, by 20, and that was the plan going in. Like who got nobody.
Almost.
I never went into a game my senior year that I thought there was any doubt that I was going to win. Like and that's something that doesn't happen a whole lot with kids nowadays. Going back to that question, losing was never something that we had ever thought we were going to do in any situation. So that's just it's just the way it was.
Yeah. And
we did get we lost a couple of games here and there, but that wasn't the thought going into the game anyway. And it was I've never been in the atmosphere since that. Like it was unbelievable. It was just as soon as we walked into the school, period. Like I was so, just hyped up and pumped up. I had chills just walking into the school itself. But when we came out for warm-ups, like it literally, I was so, the adrenaline was pumping so much that I tried to dunk it. And which is something I could do with ease. And my legs were so weak and rubbery just from the, like just excitement. Yeah. It was crazy, that that's all I could do just to do some, just dunk it, period.
Yeah.
And like I said, you couldn't hear the person in front of you would turn around and warm ups and say something, and, you didn't have a clue what they were saying. Like it was one of the better atmospheres as far as a basketball game that I'd been involved in for sure. But anyway, game went back and forth. It was a close game all throughout. We led a big chunk of the game. In second half, we went on a run and probably got up, I think it was 13 points. And we still had, with like, I want to say 330, something like that, 325 to go in the game. We still had a 10-point double-digit lead. And, you know, and again, differences of opinion, but I think had we not try to protect that lead rather than push that lead, I think, what I thought going in might have happened. We might have beat them by 20 because, I mean, there's, we just went on a good run, and we missed a couple of free throws, which, had we made, again, different outcome. But so they started chipping away at the lead and ended up tying it up. And then, but before that, this is something silly that I did is, I guess my overconfidence, I guess some would say being too cocky, but when we was walking down the court to the free throw line on Twin Springs end, we had fouled them, and we still had a decent lead at this point. So it was probably around the 3-minute mark. But anyway, I remember looking over at one of our cheerleaders and winking at her and smiling. Me and her was really, really close, and we're real good friends. And I can remember looking over there and smiling at her and winking, and like, we got this, no problem. And so anyway, they end up tying it up with probably maybe 15 seconds, I think, something like that. And now this is the guy I was talking about, Sean Hale. He had just was 2 weeks out from having a kidney transplant. He had a lot of kidney problems that ran in his family, and he had to set out a lot of the season, and he had just actually had a kidney transplant. I want to say like 2 weeks. Might have been 3, but either way, it was something, a miracle for him to be out there. And he actually hit the shot that put us ahead by 2 with literally, like 6-7 seconds left on the clock. So, everybody goes crazy because that, not just because we took the lead, but because he's the one that did it. So that was great in itself. And then, of course, we knew where we thought the ball was going to Chris Addington, who was, their go-to guy, 3-pointers, and which we had shut him down. Jared Deskins was one of the ones that guarded him a lot and did a great job on him. And then we played some zone. We mixed it up some, but he hadn't hit a 3-pointer all night. So, we done what we needed to do. But anyway, they inbound the ball, and I'm guarding. It was actually Brian Powers, the guy that I was telling you about. I become good friends with. But he dribbles down, and I fan him out toward the sideline, and he jumps, and he was going to go somewhere else with the ball, and at the last second he changed his mind. He almost threw it away, but he at the last second threw it across. He was, on the right side of the court, threw it across the court to Addington, and then he immediately ran down, and I ran down because Addington was getting ready to take the shot. So I was boxing him out, and we were running down there, and Addington took the shot, and I was already about to jump in the air because, like, I knew he missed it. Like, you could just, and I never told anybody about this for a long time. I may have told some good.
Oh, okay.
I may have told some good friends or something at that time.
That's why I was. That's kind of why I was laughing, because I was waiting on you to get.
So I'm getting ready to start celebrating, and come to find out, my freshman year in college, it's the first time I talked to Brian Powers. We actually talked about that, and I was kind of, it's one of those things, a little sore about the whole situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to this guy. I don't, but me and Scotty Vermillion had become good friends, and him and Brian were already good friends. So we went out to his place to hang out, and we, of course, it came up, and I dreaded talking about it because, like I said, it's still fresh then, and we were talking about the whole thing, and I wasn't going to say anything, but anyway, I finished the game part. Well, I'm getting ready to jump up and celebrate, and the ball, and to this day, I swear it curved in the air. I don't know if it was the rotation. I don't know if it was the heat in the top of the gym. I don't know what did it. But the longer I watched it, the less excited I was. And, I mean, it just perfectly curved and went in, and, of course, I don't even know how I even thought, but I just started screaming at the referee calling timeout. And so they had already rushed the court, and Coach Clark was already down there talking to Roger, shaking his hand or whatever. And I went down there and I said, Coach, they're going to put time back on the clock. I call timeout. And Coach Clark, which I didn't know at that time, I got to know him later, but he said, no, son, it's over. Good job. And I said, no, they're going to put time back on the clock. And he said no, and he was another Bobby Knight-like character who I developed a lot of respect for later on. Not that I didn't respect him then, but I got to know him later on. And he finds out that they're going to put a second back on the clock for us, and he went berserk on the referees because, obviously any time on the clock is, nobody's going to be happy about because, they just won the game. But so they got everybody back off the court, and William bounded the ball, and again, it's one of those situations where I wanted them to throw it up to me, in the middle, and it didn't happen. But it's again differences of opinions, and looking back, and thinking back on things, it is what it is. But so when me and Brian Powers were at his house talking about that my freshman year of college, he actually said it first, which made me feel a lot better about my mental state of losing that game, because I was devastated, and would have probably told myself about anything to make myself feel better. Yeah. But because I always felt like, hey, I could have done a little more, here, a little more there, something. I could have figured out something to do. But anyway, we were telling the story about it, and he said, man, I swear that thing curved that last shot. And I'm like, and I jumped back, and I think he was worried that he made me mad or something, and I jumped back and I said, what did you just say? And he said, what? He said, I swear that shot looked like it curved in the air. It wasn't going in, and it curved and went in. And I'm like, and I made him say it again. I said, no, tell me what you just said one more time. And because all this time, like I said, I may have told somebody between now and then, but then I don't know. So, like, obviously now I'm not afraid to tell people that because the guy from the opposing team that was standing right beside him, he says the same thing. Yeah. So, but anyway, the tears, I'm not sure how long I even laid in the locker room crying, crying like a baby, because that was their whole dream. And, then as opposed to now, and I'm not trying to bash, young people that I've got two of them, but it just was a different time. You just put, I'm not going to say more time, because a lot of kids work hard. I mean, they play a lot of games, and they spend a lot of time in the gym, but it just seems like it's a lot easier for them to shake things off than it was us back then. Like, just doesn't, not that they don't care. I just don't think it's something that's instilled in them, or that they put a lot of thought into. But gosh, we were devastated. Like, it was insane. It took me a long time to get over that. Or a dream of going to the state, and then some people might say, well, it makes it better, but to me, it makes it worse than them going on to win the state that year. But everybody said, well, you got beat by the state champion, and of course, we thought we should have beat them. Literally, going in, we thought, hey, we're going to beat them by 20 points, and probably in all reality, we probably should have. And of course, most people from Twin Springs are going to argue about that, but and then I give them their arguments, but I still say we are the better team.
On our podcast, you can say you can go against Twin Springs anytime.
That's
you
right.
want.
I work there, and there's a lot of great people there. And I've talked to a lot of the people that I played against in that very game. And there are a lot of good people there, and it was a good place to work. Other than and I'm not want to open up old wounds, and Jamar, I see him starting to smile a little bit because he knows I'm going to say something stupid. But and I told my wife I wouldn't, but it is what it is. They done Mark wrong over there, Mark Dockery. So I'll take that to my grave with me. I don't care. I think the world of Mark. He's a good guy and puts a lot of time into what he does. A lot of passion for it, and that situation should have been handled different. Just should have been handled different. That's all I'm going to say. But I will say that I did love. I loved working there, and like I said, a lot of good people. And whether it was, meant to be the way that it was, it didn't turn out too good. That situation didn't. But now we can get back on another subject if y'all want to.
Oh, I can throw mine out there if you want me to. But I've never actually said anything about it either, so I'll just refrain. Also, we don't. If we had, well, yeah, I'll just move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that game, that's just a real quick question. Did Garden win a region or go to state after that? They didn't.
No, not that I know of.
Basketball.
I don't remember. They had a couple of, of decent teams.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah, but I don't think they ever did make that. Okay. I was just wondering if they ever did or not. I didn't think they did, but
no.
So it turns out that was the last opportunity, probably the best chance that they had.
Yeah, I mean,
and to lose that way is just that's rough.
Yeah, I've sat and of course thought about it, and not as much the last few years, but up through the years there of going to games and watching games, and it brings back memories. But definitely think we had. Of course, we thought we had the better team, but it was a tough way to go out.
Yeah.
But I really,
Does it get easier to get over as you get older? I'm asking for a friend.
It does. You realize, it's hard to look back and regret a lot of things. When it comes to sports, because you realize the true value, is in a lot of other things when you think about the grand scheme of things of, losing loved ones and the hardships that people go through. It kind of you start thinking about those things more than you do the things that happened then, but because it's just part of getting older and wiser, I guess some would say. But and then of course having kids does personally changes your views and of a lot of things, calms you down, I guess. I've always been a pretty fiery person, which I probably still am. I mean, for goodness sakes, I got kicked out of one of Paisley's games, so I don't know what I'm thinking about. Saying that I calmed down.
Yeah. We'll blame the rest for that one too. If he's listening, you know who you are.
Oh yeah, no, that one. Yeah, that's even a different one than I'm even talking about. Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll find out who listens to the podcast, who don't. If I don't get a message from a certain individual, I'll know he don't listen. So did you know already? At what point did you know you was going to go play at Wise or Clinch Valley back then?
I honestly wasn't 100% sure that I would be would be recruited. I got with their family, nobody went to college and had everybody got out and went to work, and so I mean it never really had been honestly, I mean somewhere midway through the season my senior year, like there was a little bit of talk of something possibly happening maybe with I think Bluefield had reached out to coach, and maybe Bluefield State, some of those smaller schools like that, and again, Coach Mitchell from was my coach my freshman year at was Clinch Valley College then, and so he came and watched a couple of games and had talked to me and Kevin, and of course Kevin was going D1, and I'll say that with the straightest face I can, but anyway, so that's he and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, and so he came and watched another game and then said, fill out all your financial aid and whatever, and they would pay for whatever that it didn't pay for. They would pay for the rest of it, if I would sign with them, and so of course I thought that was great. I mean, here I went from thinking that I might not go to college, period, maybe go to Southwest or something, maybe, or just go straight and get a job, whatever. But then it kind of become a reality, and I knew immediately that I was going to go into coaching and teaching. I just, I've always had a passion for helping young people, and so I kind of never really thought a whole lot about anything else, so yeah, it's Coach Mitchell was the one that recruited me. He was a super guy. I still talk to him every now and then. We actually got together over to college, which, you were over there at U of A for that. They got together.
Yeah.
So it was he was a good guy. I liked him. He was a different styles between him and Coach Clark and Roger, Greg, all those different people. You learn different things from each one of them. But I definitely liked the fire that Coach Clark had. It wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I liked it. I really, really enjoyed that type of coaching, and I enjoyed being coached that way. So like he was a big influence on my coaching early on. So Coach Mitchell was a X's and O's, more X's and O's, and was really, good with, drawing up a play at halftime or making some type of adjustment. Not that Coach Clark wasn't, but that was just what he focused on more than anything else. And then, Coach Clark was just, he could make you want to run through a brick wall. I mean, I don't know if I should tell some of the stories of him or not, but there's a couple of interesting ones that I could tell. But
then talk about more of that, and then obviously after you graduated, getting into teaching and stuff. So if you're good, if y'all are good with it, we'll do a part 2, and that way we can really dive into it. We're not, maybe not rush as much. I think people would really enjoy it. If that's all right with you,
I'm good with whatever y'all want.
Good, okay, that'll work. Then we'll put a pin in it right there. And when we get you back on, we'll jump right into from there on, starting in college stuff. We kind of have a new segment thing we do. We've not really decided what to call it yet, but basically we're gonna go 30 seconds, Cameron, or a minute.
I mean, either one. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna ask, so it's hard for me to.
Yeah, I don't think you'll need a minute, Jeff, but I'll give you a minute. And it's just a top. We'll do a top 5 list, and it's like, it could be anything random, but it'd be your favorite of whatever. But I guess the thing is, it's like just the first 5, come to your head. I think you can do this one in 30 seconds, but I'll give you a minute. Yeah, that's what I tell Cameron. The fun thing about this is, if it's certain subjects, you're going to end up leaving off probably something later on. You'll be like, oh yeah, that should be on there. But just a rapid fire, first thing comes to your mind. So you have 1 minute. Name your top 5 favorite Eric Church songs.
Gosh,
Go.
man, that's like the hard. That'll take me 15 minutes to figure that out.
I mean,
I think that is a hard one.
I mean, here I'll stop. I'll stop.
Sinner's like,
I understand what you're saying, but I was gonna say that's the whole point. I think is like just those first five, real quick, and then because I always thought about like he'll go back and he'll be like, oh, that one should have been or that one should have been, but you know,
Sinners Like Me.
Go ahead.
Is definitely at the top. Springsteen probably is another one that I really like. Pledge of Allegiance to the Hag. Gosh, I know I'm going to leave out some good ones. I love the one. I learned that from a 3-year-old. It's not one of his more popular ones, but I love it personally.
Right. Very good,
that's it's an awesome song where the kid throws his keys in the trash can or whatever. It's just an amazing song. Anyway, and I like the is it Dark Side? I think it's called. That song gets me fired up, especially since I had my first kid with Paisley. That's
that part where he kind of talks.
All you've
and like does the
all you thugs and something
thugs and mugs and whatever.
I actually put that on Facebook. I think
thugs and ugly mugs making
noise,
or making something like that.
I can't remember exact words of it. It's awesome. How many is that?
Do whatever you want, but if you touch my little girl,
I he says boy, but I use the girl.
Oh, does
I think he says boy.
Okay,
but I of course
probably does. No, that was 5. Yeah, that was your 5th one.
That's a part
so see, some of mine are some of mine have underlying meanings.
There's some deep tracks on there, which you got some deep tracks that I like it because that way you're not just naming out.
I ones that hit me personally, or the ones that I think of the quickest.
I knew that'd be a good one for you because I know you like Eric Church, and we've had this conversation. Basically the same conversation. It's been a long time, and he didn't have nearly as much out at the time we had this conversation. But we've had this same conversation on top of a mountain on a 4-wheeler before. Yeah. So I was like, see where he's at, see if he can name 5 off real fast. But that's a good list.
It's a hard thing to do because I think of 20 or so songs, that should be up there. Yes.
For the longest time, he didn't put out a bad song. I didn't think,
No, I don't know that I could narrow down to 5.
That's tough. That's tough.
Because depending on how I feel that day is what I want. I mean, like it's subjective to that. What kind of mood I'm in.
Oh, guys like me. That I love that song. That would. I
always loved Lightning by him. I'm just a story.
There's a couple albums there that there's not a bad song on. I mean, every one of them. Sometimes you'll listen to an album or something, and there'll be a couple songs you'll skip over, but there's a couple of his that I don't skip any of them.
Right. That's the golden rule.
I'll let Cameron pick the question for your part 2, but for now, Cameron, you got anything before we close this one out?
Anything else we can save for the second part?
Yeah. But we'll definitely plan this out and try to do I don't know if it'll be the next episode or however, but we'll try to do it sooner rather than later, and try to get your part 2 out, because I think people will really enjoy it, and I know it don't matter if they enjoy it or not. I know I'll enjoy it. We'll enjoy it talking to you.
There's some a couple funny things for college that I'll tell on that part too.
Yeah, we definitely have to. That's why I just knew when I looked down and see what time it was, and I was like, there's no way I can get everything in that I want to talk about. And maybe it's just because, you're obviously my uncle and stuff, and I know, but I just think people would be really enjoy hearing about some of it. So I think it's the right decision. But
and we can always
we appreciate you coming on.
We can always throw some presidential assassinations in there or something, talk about.
Oh, I mean, about
people.
Yeah, by
that always gets people fired up.
By the next time by the next time you're on, it's hard to tell what will have happened. So we'll have all kinds of new material.
Yeah, just in the last 3 weeks.
to talk about. So
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
So is Biden going to run or what?
Actually,
I mean, you know.
this
actually,
weekend,
you know
I
what
think.
though? We'll have to keep Joni from listening to this episode, so she'll let us have a part 2.
Yeah.
That might be the only problem, but
I kept it under control
So-
on this one. Pretty good anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're good. Yeah, we
I could have
got-
done a lot
yeah.
worse.
But yeah,
But you know, that's
Yeah.
what boosts your ratings is the
Hey,
spicy
yeah,
stuff.
I have like
The
a
spicy stuff.
what's
you
it
know?
called? Some clickbait
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
to go
that's
viral.
what it
Yeah,
takes.
yeah.
Like I'm not going to tell anybody
Yeah.
I'm not wearing any clothes underneath. You know, so as long as I don't stand up,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, you get.
As long
Yeah, I don't
as
have
that-
pants
you're
on,
good.
so
You're good to go.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, but
As long as it's not like some of those people during the Zoom calls
love
that
it, yes.
thought that they went away or whatever and didn't, and they, doing other things. So, but yeah, we'll get back for sure. Do a part 2, but we appreciate you coming on and all that. But I'm looking forward to the next one.
I appreciate y'all having me, and I'm looking forward to it too. I will say, you know, what you are doing for the local school teams and high schools and stuff is just, you know, it's awesome to give these young people a chance to be recognized and to come on and talk about, you know, their careers. Because I mean, this is something that, and you know, we've joked, me and you've joked, J. Morrow, you know, that you know, there's not a lot of people that listen, or there is a lot of people, you know, no matter what the situation is, for some of these young athletes, I mean, it's still a really big deal, you know, for them to have a little platform to be able to talk about, you know, their personal side of their basketball or football or whatever it may be. You know, I enjoy listening to the kids, and I enjoy listening to the coaches. You know, Shane, great dude. I met him, you know, first time I met him was a soccer. I coached Paisley's soccer team, and his little girls were on the team, and got to know him. And the more I talked to him, the more I liked him. And you know, he's just a great guy. And his little girls are cute as buttons. I don't know if you've ever seen him or not. But they're firecrackers. They're hilarious. But anyway,
I've never met him in person, but they're
oh
adorable,
yeah,
the pictures
they're
and
something else.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were on their soccer team, and me and Shane have a lot of the same type of you know, philosophies about, you know, what you expect out of kids, no matter how old they are. You know, I have to remind myself that sometimes, and that you know, like Grayson, for example, or Paisley, the one coming up, but you know, he's going into second grade, and so this past basketball season, him being in, I have to remind myself, oh, he's just a first grader. You know, I get kind of tunnel vision about what I want, you know, what I want for him, and what I, you know, expect of him, and so like you know, but you have to. It's kind of hard. It's a hard balance of knowing how much to you know, how much to get onto him about certain things, and how much, you know, just to kind of let him be. You know, I don't force them to do anything, but you know, if they're going to do something, I want them to do it, and do it. You know, put their time into it, and you know, dedicate yourself to it, because you got more people that rely on you. You know, if you're playing basketball or football or whatever, I mean, any kind of team sport. So, and I want them to learn that. You know, first grade or whatever, I don't care. I want them to learn those things. But anyway, I do think it's awesome. You know, y'all doing this and inviting the athletes on, and to talk, and you know, ask some questions and give them a chance to put themselves out there. It's pretty cool.
Appreciate that.
I was gonna say, yeah, we appreciate that and you coming on. I know Jamar has probably already heard a lot of the stories, but this is the first time for me, so I really enjoyed it.
Well, Cam, we'll have to get together sometime off camera, and I can tell you some that'll definitely make you laugh. But yeah, we aren't necessarily family rated, so yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that sometime.
And even if we could, even like a lot of them, I'd say go ahead and tell. But just you might have to keep the other people involved out of it. They might not want some of them told. So that's we might have to get permission for certain people to tell their stories. I guess. I'm not saying part 2 is when we'll do this, but I feel like part 3 down the road somewhere, if we could all just maybe get together and hang out, do one in person would be a very good one. I think we'd enjoy that.
That'd be fun. Have you ever told him about the 350 for life, JR?
I don't remember if I told him that or not. I think I tried to one time, and he kind of went. It didn't really get it, and I was like, maybe you had to be there. Have I ever tried to tell you about that, Cameron? Yeah, it's there's 3 or 4 of us that would understand what that means.
But Garrett Horn was there, so that's all we should have to say. Cam.
There you go. Garrett,
I mean that should clear that up.
Yeah,
Garrett's another one you get on here and I swear to share.
Yeah, you definitely couldn't have Garrett on here. There ain't no way. Sorry, Garrett.
He was to him, or did. I guess he's so bad.
You'll spend your whole time editing that. There ain't no way.
You got to attend that episode.
But I love you, Garrett.
I don't know. I think he's coaching some little league and stuff too.
Where's he at now?
At Richlands.
Richlands. I think he's coaching. He's helping doing like. I think he's helping do like Quentin's like maybe flag football and stuff like that. I think that's what he's awesome. Doing. So but he's at Richlands now. He's a big R.
It's hard. That's why Moore went there. He's following Garrett.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Tazewell County.
Yeah.
Right.
But Jeff, we'll hang out right there. We'll hit in, but don't go anywhere, and we'll go back and we'll talk to you right after. But we'll go ahead and end it. I guess, Cam.
Till next time.
All right. Thank you, guys.